Hi, I'm Bobby, and this is Abby, and we are hosts of the Filling You Up with Hope podcast and Filling You Up with Hope YouTube channel. And welcome.
Yes, welcome. Yep, we're going through Proverbs. We're doing one proverb chapter a week.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And so today we're on Proverbs 3, and it's a good one. Actually, when we had to sorry. To become members at our church, we had to have an interview, and they asked what our scripture was, and mine is actually Proverbs 3, 5, and 6.
Mom, why did you?
Because I was gonna have a sip of it.
It's okay.
I just love that. I love that. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path straight. I just love that. Yes. Okay. Come on. You can bring it out here.
I love that so much too. Like, trusting in the Lord with all of your heart.
Yeah. But so what did you like? Well, let's start. So 3:1 says, "My son, do not forget my teaching, but keep my commands in your heart, for they will prolong your life many years and bring you peace and prosperity."
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's also difficult because I find that sometimes we read it and we don't take it in.
Right.
So how do we really make His word a part of us?
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's got to be a part of who we are. It's got to be our identity, right? And so I think it has a lot to do with, are you a believer?
It's like you said, it's making it our identity, and maybe I try to do this, but I forget sometimes to pray before I'm reading anything for it to absorb it and to take it in.
Yes.
But it's such a simple thing, don't forget your father's teaching, but it's a big thing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a huge thing. It's because it's so easy for us to just follow our earthly ways, right? And then, so 3:3, let love and faithfulness never leave you. Bind them around your neck. Write them on the tablet of your heart. Then you will win favor and a good name in the sight of God and man. And I love that, because it's got to be that's got to be your character, right? Before it can be your action, it has to be your character. Love and faithfulness, right?
I'm going inside
so
I
true.
can see it.
Okay.
And
Can you help me unfold it?
and it's counter
Give it to me.
our society, right?
Help me.
Yeah. He helped you.
Because our society is so selfish,
Right.
and that's the way that we're kind of raised to be.
Right.
That it's about me, how I feel,
Right.
and so that's so different to be loyal and faithful.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And we don't exude love and friendliness, and I see this all the time because there's a bike path that goes on the behind our shop, and so at break time or at lunchtime I try to walk, and I always make a point to be like, good morning, and so many people just are like, don't talk to me,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
and it's got to be your character, and it becomes your character out of obedience to God, right?
Yes. Yep. And it's I worked at Home Depot one summer, and I would be, you didn't know that? My son's right there. You didn't know that. And I was very friendly. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
Hi, have a good day. And people would be like, why are you so friendly? I get asked that all the time, why? And because it's just not always the way that we are. But be what you put in the notes, being loyal and faithful to God, and faithfully, even on the mornings where we're tired, still turning to Him and making that a priority.
Right.
you
Yeah,
know?
absolutely.
Yeah.
Obedience.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Even when we don't want to, we have to be obedient because we are choosing to be a follower of God and not just a believer. Right?
Oh, yes. It's like adding the action
Right.
to it.
Yeah.
You know?
And it'll get easier the more you're sanctified, right? That's where wisdom comes in, right? I mean, everyone always says ask an older person what their experience was like and learn from their mistakes. Well, as a child, you never do that, right? You have to learn from your own mistake. But
Yeah.
that's the same with like following God. The longer we follow him, the easier following his commands will be. Because then you'll understand his reasoning behind them. And even if you don't, you should follow them anyway, but that's hard to do.
Yeah. And it just becomes more natural. Like I was lecturing Tobin about something in the car, and I naturally like was telling him a Bible verse. You know what I mean? Because like the more you read it, and this doesn't
I
have,
love that.
you know, the more it just comes out. But not all the time.
What were you lecturing about? What
I
Bible
don't-
verse was it?
I don't remember. What was it? Yeah. I'll bring it up when I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's good.
Yeah. So, mom brain, sorry.
Well, Abby and I were both earlier, like I'm suffering from some serious allergies and my nose is itching.
Yeah.
And it's just making me exhausted,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I'm
me
exhausted
too.
today.
Me too.
But we're
Yeah.
being obedient. We're still doing this today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then my favorite verse, or one of my favorite verses, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him and he will make your path straight. That is so good, right? I don't know. That's just such a good, because you do. When things aren't going your way, when you bring him into your heart and into your decision, like everyday decision making, like play with him, right? Like, God, please give me a good parking spot. But then when, like, if you go to buy a house, pray about it. Ask him to help you buy the house or the location, and just trust that he knows best, you know?
Yep. And that we can't fathom, like, his wisdom.
Right.
So we're not going to understand
Right.
everything. We want to.
Yeah.
And it's like our nature. But in reality, like, he's God and we are human.
Right.
And so we're not gonna understand everything. I think that gets people into trouble sometimes.
No, don't need that.
You know, and affects faith. Like when you think that you need to figure everything out. Because in reality, none of us, we have to, it's about trust and faith in something that's unseen.
Right.
So,
absolutely. And that's hard and scary.
Yeah.
Like we were saying on our podcast, there's people that move across the country for ministry jobs.
Yeah.
That is complete faith in God. You know?
Yep.
And if God was to tell you to move to Brooklyn, New York, or Brooklyn's not bad anymore, right? Where I don't know where it is, like, I don't know. I'm not good with New York City because I don't like the city. But if you'd be like, no, that can't be right. Yeah, he likes that. But yeah, I don't know. You know, you just have to trust him. You have to trust that it'll work out. You have to make the first step.
Yes. And and that requires faith.
It does.
Know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
but
I love
it's really
that.
sad. It's scary. It's scary how sad that, or it's scary how it is. Yeah.
Yes. And not leaning on our own understanding, like, 'cause, you know, we do that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. But that's good.
Yeah. So, mom brain, sorry.
Well, Abby and I were both earlier, like I'm suffering from some serious allergies and my nose is itching.
Yeah.
And it's just making me exhausted,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
I'm
me
exhausted
too.
today.
Me too.
But we're being obedient. We're still doing this today.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh.
And then my favorite verse, or one of my favorite verses, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to him and he will make your path straight. That is so good, right? I don't know. That's just such a good, because you do. When things aren't going your way, when you bring him into your heart and into your decision, like everyday decision making, like play with him, right? Like, God, please give me a good parking spot. But then when, like, if you go to buy a house, pray about it. Ask him to help you buy the house or the location, and just trust that he knows best, you know?
Yep. And that we can't fathom, like, his wisdom.
Right.
So we're not going to understand everything. We want to.
Yeah.
And it's like our nature. But in reality, like, he's God and we are human.
Right.
And so we're not going to understand everything. I think that gets people into trouble sometimes.
No, don't.
You know, and affects faith. Like when you think that you need to figure everything out. Because in reality, none of us, we have to, it's about trust and faith in something that's unseen.
Right.
So,
absolutely. And that's hard and scary.
Yeah.
Like we were saying on our podcast, there's people that move across the country for ministry jobs.
Yeah.
That is complete faith in God.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yep.
And if God was to tell you to move to Brooklyn, New York, or Brooklyn's not bad anymore, right? Where I don't know where it is, like, I don't know. I'm not good with New York City because I don't like the city. But if you'd be like, no, that can't be right. Yeah, he likes that. But yeah, I don't know. You know, you just have to trust him. You have to trust that it'll work out. You have to make the first step.
Yes. And and that requires faith.
It does. Know? Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
but I love
it's really sad. It's
Yeah.
scary. It's scary how sad that, or it's scary how it is. Yeah.
Yes. And not leaning on our own understanding, like,
right.
You know, we do that all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, but the more we know him, the more it's easier it is to do, right?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, the more you, like, reading the Old Testament, you get such an idea of how much love God has for people, you know,
and the forgiveness, like,
yeah. Yep, absolutely. Let's see, we can move on down here. Maybe did we miss? Oh, did I miss one?
9.
Oh,
maybe?
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Honor the Lord with your wealth, with the first fruits of all your crops. Then your barns will be filled to overflowing, and your vats will brim over with new wine.
No. Oh,
which that's hard because, like, you're supposed to, like, when tithing, you're supposed to tithe first and then pay all your bills. But I don't do that. I can't do that. I get, like, well, I'm an only mom, and you know, and so that's really hard. And well, you know, you're a mom and you have kids and you have a mortgage. But we're supposed to trust God, and that's wisdom, and trusting him to provide for us when we're giving him the best.
Yep. And putting him first.
Right.
Like, with our money and with our, like, reading the Bible in the morning and stuff like that.
We were talking about Mother's Day, and we have a special guest on our Mother's Day podcast, and which mothers we wanted to do, and
Is it Chrissy?
Tobin's like, who is it?
Is it Chrissy?
No, but she'd be a good one.
Yeah.
But so we were all picking moms, and I was like, we could do Hannah. Hannah's such a good testament to giving first fruits. Like, she prayed to God, and you know, we all make idle promises, right? Like, God, if you let me win the lottery, I will donate 75% of it. Well, are we really going to do that?
No.
She was like, Tobin. Yes, Tobin, you're supposed to say
we
yes.
have an audience today.
You should be our special guest, Tobin. Come on over to this side of the table. Here, we'll scooch down.
Tobin, how do you?
Yeah, what do you think
how
about
do you
first
honor
fruits?
God?
All right, Tobin, if you were given front row Celtics tickets, 2 of them, and God said, give one away to some stranger, would you do it? You could still go, but you had to go with somebody you didn't know instead of your mom.
As long as they were a safe person.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm just using this as like a weird example.
Could I take my friend?
No, God said you had to take, like, one of those kids over there that's playing. Yeah, you do it. See, there. Tobin's trusting God. Abby's not, but Well, that's true. They're playing sports. I was like, no, not if it's some homeless guy.
Well, no, that's fine. But we have to put him first, right? We have to put God first.
Depends on the situation.
No.
Tobin.
Well, see, Tobin's young, so he'll learn. He'll learn. You have to listen to your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no.
And then it personifies wisdom again, right?
Yes.
As a woman.
Yeah, which
Yes.
is so good.
Yes.
Because the longer you know God, the more wise you'll be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you won't say it depends on the situation.
Oh.
What's another
also
good one
amazing.
that you loved?
Well, we had so much of it.
Yeah.
Blessed, this is 13. Blessed are those who find wisdom, those who gain understanding, for she is more profitable than silver and yields better returns than gold.
Right.
Like,
I love that.
finding God, who is our wisdom, like that's what gives us stability.
Right. Exactly.
Like that, that's what's always going to be there, because wealth is not.
Right.
You know.
And people aren't either.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
people fail us.
Yes.
All the time.
Mm-hmm.
I just ran into a gentleman that I grew up across the street from.
Yeah.
But I hadn't seen him. We moved out of that house when I was 11,
Mm-hmm.
and I ran into him at Panera Bread.
Yeah.
But I was
Oh,
wearing
you-
like I don't know how he. So we ended up sitting and having dinner together or lunch
Uh-huh.
together, and
Uh-huh.
and he and his wife were married for 40 years. And one day she goes, "I want a divorce,"
Oh.
you know, and that's
Mhm.
so sad.
So was he like a teacher in school?
No, he.
Oh,
I
Oh,
don't remember what he did.
oh okay.
Yeah, I don't remember. That
Okay,
was-
but you just
yeah.
knew him from a long
from
time
from growing up across the street from him.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And I hadn't seen him in so many years, but I was
That's so
wearing
sad.
like
yeah.
a shirt that basically said who I was.
Yeah.
and so we ended up like he's now dating a woman, and he had his girlfriend's daughter or granddaughter who was about the same age as Alex. So we sat and had lunch
that's
together,
so nice.
and we just caught up, and
Yeah.
it was just heartbreaking. Like, people fail you after 40 years, and they like raised kids and had grandkids,
Yeah.
and one day she was just like, I don't want to be in this marriage anymore.
Oh.
And he was like, what? You know, and it just totally, it killed him, you know, but people fail you, and that's where trust and wisdom come in, because, and people have free will, right? Like, that's hard to remember, is that, like, if I cut Abby's finger off, I had free will to do that, you know,
Yeah.
but you just have to trust that God will grow your finger back or something.
Or something.
And be loyal and faithful to him, and that
Right.
helps us, like what we talk about in our podcast, that helps us be loyal and faithful to other
Right.
people if we're rooted in him.
Right,
you
right.
know?
Mm,
Yeah.
that's so good. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I'm so sorry that happened to him. Like,
I feel,
oh.
yeah, it was really, I mean, he said, he tried to justify it,
Mhm.
and he was like, I didn't realize how unhappy I was until I was out of the marriage.
Mhm.
But I don't know, you know, I obviously brought Jesus into the subject, and I had said,
Mhm.
that's what happens when, like, Satan comes into a relationship, you know, and that's why we need Jesus. And we talked about the world and how it is today, and I said it's lack of God being in the center of marriages. And he was like, yeah, and then just, you know,
But you're planting seeds.
That's
and
all
that
we
is
can do.
that's amazing. That's,
yeah.
yeah.
And through these
Quite literally.
YouTubes, there's been people that have been, like, there's this one of our customers said that he watches our
Oh.
YouTube every once in a while, and I was like, you do? We're like, wow, thanks.
Oh, Nice.
So there's your
Aw.
shout out. Hi. If you're watching this one. Yeah.
Oh. And then we went all the way down to 19.
Yeah.
that one.
By wisdom, the Lord laid the earth's foundations. By understanding, he set the heavens in place. By his knowledge, the watery depths were divided, and the clouds let drop the dew. I think about that all the time. you know, like as you're like driving, or as I'm driving, right? Do you ever think like, how did God think to make like trees make oxygen but need our breath in order to survive, right? Like how did he even think about the minute details like that, you know?
Yeah.
And I just can't even fathom you know, how much wisdom that would have taken. And then would it have taken, I go down rabbit holes, you know, and then I'm like, well, it had to have been millions of years, you know, the whole debate on whether one day was actually 24 hours or if it was like a million years. Because how would you even know how to create stuff to feed off of itself in 24 hours? God can do that, but you think he had to get out some kinks like dinosaurs. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it's also, it's so amazing. Like on our Instagram, we posted a picture that like the lungs and branches on trees and like how they look similar. I mean, it's just a beautiful, amazing world that we can't even grasp.
No.
And so, and he is like wisdom and understanding.
Right. Yeah, he is.
Like that's the only way to have it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just think like that. Sorry, Chase's roughhousing with Tobin. But yeah, it's just amazing to think how God created even us, right? Even how we can grow babies or lose skin and regrow our own skin, and we're just a bunch of cells. It's crazy to think how God did
like,
that. 24.
Yes.
When you lie down, you will not be afraid. When you lie down, your sleep will be sweet.
And have no fear of sudden disaster or the ruin that overtakes the wicked. Like we have so much anxiety, you know, and we don't need to when we're like really have him in us, you know?
Right. Well, that's all about wisdom and trust. Right. And that's why trials are important, because the more like trials, they're not fun. However, they help build your trust. Right. Like James says, like, oh shoot, what did he said? Like allow trials to take place, and because it just strengthens
endurance and endurance.
Strengthens your faith. And that's exactly what it does. Because God will be, like, his glory is shown through your trials, you know? Did you just give your mom bunny ears?
No.
Thought you gave your mom bunny ears.
3, 2, 1. I'm sorry for the wait, but
and it's like the whole message, like for they will prolong your life many years and bring you peace and prosperity.
Our God's teachings, right? It will.
Yeah, and we're all looking for that, right? Peace and prosperity.
And trusting God is the only thing that will give peace and prosperity, because he has a plan, and just having that faith and that hope in him is what gives you peace. Right?
It's so true. It's so true. With everything that we go through. You know? Right. And it's his wisdom. Because people want all different sorts of wisdom, right? But like it's his wisdom.
Yeah, and we just have to ask him for it. It's a scary ride when you do ask him for it, but
Yep. And it doesn't always mesh well with what we're surrounded by.
No, it doesn't ever mesh well with the earthly surroundings. And that's kind of where you get caught in that, only having friends that have the same beliefs as you, but we're not called to do that either. So, because
then how can we plant those seeds? Right. You know.
Right. Exactly. And we'll never know. I saw this thing one time I heard it, where the guy said, I wish I had remembered who it was, because this was a good one. He said he thinks when we go, like when we die and we go to heaven, we'll see like all the people that we helped, like on a TV screen, you know, like that you had no idea, like that you waved by in traffic, you know, or be like, all right, you can go, you know, like go on, or just like little things, little seeds that we've planted. And I loved that, you know.
I'm gonna remember that. That's really
Yeah.
So now this is our 3rd week. So what's been something in Proverbs that's like has stood out to you?
So far, I think it's been like
He's so cute.
like deepening our like relationship. Chase. It's definitely been like strengthening our relationship, or my relationship with God, and putting him above all, and asking for that wisdom, you know.
Yeah.
What about you?
I keep thinking and using it with my clients, like this was one of the things I was telling Tobin. It all ties back in the car, that there's paths we can take.
Yeah.
You know, like, are we gonna take the negative complaining?
You told me that a long time ago.
The negative complaining path,
Right.
or are we gonna take like the positive encouraging path?
Right.
And you can tie that to like the light path, which is Jesus, or like the dark path. And yes, there's gray.
Right.
Like that's what we get taught in mental health, that there's gray. But some things, oh, and it just, for some reason, complaining has been on my mind, and I've been trying not to do that as much.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I pray that like sticks.
Right. Yeah.
But-
I mean, it's because it's so easy to complain.
Yes. Yes, but we're so thankful.
Yes.
And next time we'll be doing Proverbs 4. So,
Yeah.
and we're just thankful for you, and just comment if you have any prayer requests or any comments. And we're just thankful.
Yeah.